As allegations and accusations of corruption and bias run rife at the BBC, a group of Christians gathered outside for a prayer meeting and to raise the plight of the genocide against believers in Nigeria.
My name's Virginia Logan. I'm here outside of the BBC. We're just starting to gather for a protest that we're doing, stand for the persecuted believers around the world. And we're really wanting to just urge the church to stand at this time with the persecuted church. The Bible commands us, Jesus commands us to stand with those that are suffering. In the Word of God, Jesus said that when you fed a fellow believer, or when you visited a fellow believer when they were in prison, or when you stood with them when they were suffering, Jesus takes it personally. And he said that it was that you were standing with me when you stood with them. And so in this time, if we are in a nation where we have the privilege of not being persecuted, we can't just use our comfort to stay comfortable. We've got to use our privilege, our comfort, to actually stand with those that are not so fortunate and are being persecuted for their faith. And so that's why we're here outside the BBC today. And this is what we're going to say today, is we're going to report what's really happening. We're going to report the truth. And we believe that God is going to move on the hearts of those in there, the journalists, to start reporting facts and stats of what is going on against Christians in Nigeria.
I believe that this is a moment where, whilst the world begins to start looking into what's going on in Nigeria, we're dealing with something that's been ongoing for so many years. And it's so important that the church, not just in Nigeria, but all over the world, gets together and starts praying about the issues that are going on with extremism in our country. But the issue is deeper than the church. It's something that demands a government response. And that government response is not enough. Here we're standing by the BBC because we're trying to say that even within the BBC, there is a responsibility on reporting what's happening to our young girls, what happened in the Niger Republic with the Catholic Church, what's happened with the Chibok girls, what's happened in Kwara State, what's happening in Plateau State, what's happening in so many parts of Nigeria that needs to be looked at. We're losing thousands of people in our nation. And as a Nigerian here in the United Kingdom, I really want to shine the light. I want the government here in the United Kingdom to be more robust about its response to Nigeria and how it's handling of what the Nigerian government is doing to handle this. But I also believe that whilst the church stands united, we do something that is more than just prayer. But together, we continue to make protests, make our voice heard all across the nations. So I invite Nigerians and others from all over the world to start saying there needs to be more done in the nation of Nigeria to protect those young people, to protect the girls, to protect Christians. Genocide is unacceptable in a time such as this.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Oloyede, and I'm here with the National Day of Prayer community, and we are here standing on behalf of persecuted Christians, not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. But the focus and the trigger for this has been the atrocities against Christians in northern Nigeria. But there has been historically a targeted attack, and I would dare say the word genocide, against the Christian church. Thousands and thousands of churches have been burnt. Thousands and thousands of people have been killed. They have been persecuted. They have been jailed. We need to stand against the spirit behind Islam that enslaves, that challenges and stands against what we stand for as the message of the cross. We need to be praying for the persecuted church, that they will stand strong, that they will not give up, that they will not become vigilantes, they will not become hateful, they will not become vengeful, and they will not take up arms. We're not called to be vengeful, to be hateful. We're not called to hate our enemies. We're called to love and bless our enemies. We're called to pray for those who persecute us. And this is our prayer. And for everybody watching, I would like you to pray for the church in Nigeria, for calling the BBC and the legacy media and media all across the world to tell the truth, to tell the real truth about what's going on in Nigeria and in many other places and across the world, across the Middle East and in other parts of the world. that there's persecution against Christians. It should be called out for what it is. And we need media, we need the BBC to tell the truth.
I've been with Overdose since 85, dates me, but I've been a speaker since 2009. Nigeria has always been at the forefront. In fact, what's happening there is nothing new. Unfortunately, it's spread to the rest of sub-Saharan Africa. But I'm glad to see so many Christians from different churches coming to protest, and it's poignant, in front of the BBC, because the BBC has chosen to ignore the near genocide that's going on in Nigeria. As you just heard, there's 9,000 odd Christians have been killed this year alone in Nigeria. Thousands displaced, living in camps, and even whole villages destroyed. And yet the BBC chooses to ignore this, and has even gone as far as claiming it's not happening. Well, it is happening. We have a trauma center in Jos, where we have helped hundreds who have been traumatized, hundreds of Christians whose families have been murdered. So we know that this is not fake news, as the BBC have kind of insinuated. We know that it's going on to this day, and it's getting worse, and it's spreading to the rest of sub-Saharan Africa. Please, please, those Christians listening to this, pray for your suffering brothers and sisters. As we've heard, we're called to stand with them.
The voice of these believers will only go stronger. I'm Reagan King, reporting outside BBC Broadcasting House in London.